Okay guys, so we got another video that we're doing here. This is going to be assembling things with iParts and just with models and that kind of thing. So let's see how we're going to do this here. First of all, let's start. We're going to do new, and we're going to do a new assembly. Okay, the assembly is once you have your different parts. Like I said, the assembly is like putting together your Lego model. Now that you have all your bricks, you're going to go ahead and put together your assembly model. So we're going to just call this one Venturi section. Okay, and the first thing you want to do is we're going to create the just the pipes coming off of the Venturi meter, and we'll start off by just placing a flange here, or I'm sorry, a pipe. So let's go to place, and then you go to the location where you have your stuff here. I have it under clients, STCWA. I got it all right here. And we're going to choose a pipe stick, and we're going to go open. When we choose a pipe stick and it's an iPart, it's pretty cool because then you have the different things that you can do here. So we can either choose the 48-inch length long, or we can choose the 24-inch. Let's choose the 48-inch one. And now that automatically creates that part for us. Notice if I move this around, it's going to say, okay, it's still trying to do another part. Hit dismiss, and now we're locked in to that one part. Now, this part right here is not really anchored. So see how I can move it around? Because there's no anchor reference to it. So it doesn't really matter if you anchor this down, as long as everything is anchored to this. That's the main thing that you want to do. So but if you do want to constrain it, let's click on this and do a constrain, and we don't have a constraint set here. What we can do is I'll show you how to constrain this to the planes that are there. So we'll go to the origin here, and again click on our X, Y, and Z axis, and do check visibility. So as you notice here, those are our X, Y, and Z axis. If I move this around, notice how it's changing the location of my planes there, or the size of my planes. It's just a dynamic thing that it's doing. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to constrain this to these planes here. So we'll come into here to our part, and notice how there's X, Y, Z planes on the part too. So we come here and select those planes, and then hit repeat visibility. That allows us to see the planes on the actual pipe, and then we can use those to join planes to planes. So let's do this. Let's do a constraint. This is 4 constraints right here, and we're going to do a face-to-face. Okay, so we're going to choose this plane right here with this plane here, and notice how it popped it together. I don't know what that popping sound was, but I don't think it was AutoCAD. So then the next one here, and then we hit apply, and then we do another one. So this plane here to this plane here. Oh, that is AutoCAD that's popping those together. I guess it means that they're good. And we hit apply on there, and then we constrain this plane to this plane. Now notice when I select this, it's selecting the second selection and the first selection here. So that's we apply it. Oops. First selection and then second selection. Oops, sorry here. First, second. Apply. This new relationship conflicts with existing assembly relations. Okay, so let's look at diagnosing the relationship and see what's happening. Okay, so what we have here is that we have an XY plane, XZ plane. Okay, notice how we have 2 relationships here. See how this plane right here they're off, they're 45 degrees. That doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this relationship here, and we're going to see if we can just delete that. break relationship there. Nope. Break relationship there. Okay. So it's this part right here, this mate relationship. So we're going to delete that right there. And then we're going to go back here and click on this plane here. I must have clicked on a wrong plane and this plane here. Oh, there we go. Let's try that. This plane to this plane. There we go. What happened is that, see, there's two solutions here when you're mating. One is mating the face on one opposite side, and then the other one's you flips it around 180. So that's what was happening. I was having an issue with that. So when you get those issues, if you switch this around, it might help you out there. So there we go. So notice right here we have three what are called mates. So these are mated together. Now when I spin this around, I cannot move this pipe anywhere else. So let's go ahead, and we're going to be wanting to take our origin off, or turn our origin planes off here, and I'll tell you why. We're going to turn this origin planes off so that way when we're mating pieces to here, we're mating them to, if we use these planes from the object, we want to use the planes of the object. We don't want to use the planes of the origin. So we don't want to have that confused, so we're going to go ahead and hide those. Okay, so now let's place the next thing here. So our next thing is we're going to place a flange, 24-inch flange, and we'll open. Okay, we have another 24-inch flange, and look at all the flanges that we have from our table. These are all messed up because I created those, but that's okay. We're going to click that one, and we're going to set it. We're just going to click in there. Fail to save factory member. I do not know what that means. I've never had that error before. I'm going to try it again. Okay, it seems that there's an error with our naming convention here, and that could probably see how we're resolving this here. As I'm doing this, I'm letting you guys see these errors so you can see what I'm going through here. Okay, it's saying that it's not finding a folder here. It could be an issue that we haven't set up a project file here. So it's looking for this folder called 24-inch flange. Let's see if we can create that folder. 24-inch. Okay, that's the problem. Is you cannot have a folder name with the symbol of the inch symbol. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to open this. And my apologies for this, but I'm going to keep recording this so that way you guys can see when you're running into stuff. We'll go here. We're going to open this eye part right here, this flange, the 24-inch flange. We'll open it. Go to our table here. Do not have any names in there on there, but the issue could probably be up here and what we're naming that. So let's call that 24-inch flange. See if that helps the issue there. We'll save that, come back to our assembly right here, and we'll place the 24-inch flange. Okay, so that was the problem there. So if you use a bad character name in your description up here, then that is not going to be allowed to be used. So now I just click there and place that flange right there in midair. So now what we want to do is we want to get this flange and add some mating constraints to it to mate it. Okay, so there it is. And so there's a couple of things that we can do here too. Number one is we want to look at our origin. So we're going to right click on our origin here, or click on our origin here, and do we want to be able to see these. Okay, we cannot see these planes right here, and the reason being is that most likely in our 24-inch flange here, they are hidden. So if we come in here and say visibility, now we'll be able to see them. Now we come over to our assembly, and we're still not able to see them. Okay. Okay, so then we're got a little issue there that we're not able to see our origin. We got visibility here, and we turn the visibility back on. Repeat visibility. Now the function is there, and we hit repeat visibility, and then we hit repeat visibility again there. So now we have our axes and our planes there. We use those to match these up because we want to keep a horizontal aspect on there. But notice here, we're at the bottom right here. So we're going to flip this over to the top, so that way we're in the right area. Okay, so the next step is, let's constrain this baby. So what we're going to do is, we're going to match this side to be flush with that pipe right there. And we just had a big pop on there, so that's great. Now look how it's flush right there. We are not going to be able to, that's not the correct way it's supposed to be. So what we want to do is we want to flip this, and so that's what that tool is there, is to allow us to flip how we're able to make it flush. So now we're flush on there. So now there's two ways to do this here. We can add another constraint here, and we're going to go to the outside of the pipe and then constrain it to the inside here, and those lock in right there. And now we've constrained it to the inside. Now one thing you'll notice is that we'll apply that. One thing you notice is you can't really see it here, because the problem is that our inside of our flange is actually it's 24 inches also, so there's a little bit of overlap there. But anyhow, when you enter your nominal dimensions for the flanges, your correct dimensions for the flanges, you'll have that set up correctly. The other thing too is that now we can technically rotate this, you see? So if we rotate it to exaggerate it, then it's obviously not set up correctly. So we need to add one more constraint. So we're going to constrain this plane here with this plane here, and that locks into place when we hit apply, and now we cannot rotate that. Alright, so now we have a flange there that we can then attach our Venturi meter to. So let's see here. So let's go place our Venturi meter here. 24-inch Venturi meter. Take that in there, and there it is. We just click on it, left click, and then do OK. And then so now there's a couple of ways to constrain this guy. First of all, we're going to make well, first of all, we need a gasket in between these. So I don't have a gasket, but we'll figure that out later, okay? But for right now, we're assuming that we're just having a gasket there. So we're going to constrain this face right here. We will make it flush with this face right there. It pops, it looks good. All right, fantastic. Okay, now hit apply there. Now what we're going to do is, again, there's a couple of ways to constrain this. You can constrain planes or you can constrain bolts. I like constraining with the planes instead of the bolts, because then the bolts you might shift around. So what we'll want to do again is turn on the planes in the Venturi meter, collapsing that so we can see this better, and go to our origin here and toggle our visibility so we can see it. Okay, so now that those are flush right there, we're going to do another constraint here of this plane and this plane right there. Apply, and then we're going to do one more of this plane and this plane. Now notice how it's giving us that error again. Well, we're going to resolve this by flipping that, going this plane, and now it locks in. Apply. So this flip is very important because sometimes Autodesk doesn't, or Inventor doesn't know what you're thinking. So the first two constraints work, but the third one won't work because it's flipped around 180. All right. So we're looking at that, and there is our Venturi meter now attached to a section of pipe. And notice that we've oriented it correctly. So this is down. All right, so hopefully that helps.